What's up, guys? Matthew Nash here. Today we're going to do a stage review from the Florida State Championship this year, and I'm going to compare myself against the national champion who also won this match and this stage, Mason Lane, who's a big shooting mentor of mine, who has taught me a lot of my movement techniques, has been working with me for the last couple years and really helped grow my game to compete at a higher level. So it's pretty cool to do this comparison on this particular stage. This was the first stage for the year for both of us with some minimal practice, and it just kind of shows you though that Mason just has refined those skills, that he's very consistent, and it was a little bit harder, and he beat me by about a half second here on this stage and some points, and we're going to kind of touch on where that came from so you can kind of see the level of movement technique that Mason teaches and how it opens up his ability to win stages. Alright, so Mason and I ran pretty much the same stage plan. However, we addressed the swinger a little bit differently. I addressed the swinger a little bit more aggressively. However, we'll talk about that when we get there. In this case, Mason and I started with these three targets, and we had a wall there that forced us into a pretty strong lean. Anytime you have a wall that is forcing you to lean on the start, I like to focus a lot of my attention on the hardest leaning target. So both in my walkthrough and in my 1 minute preparatory time, I like to focus on that lean and weight. And my goal there is to be able to achieve most of the weight to engage the first two targets without any issue, where I don't have any weight shift, that I can just transition through cleanly. And what that requires is you get that leaning foot, or that strong foot here, get that weight on there, and you really need to know what that feels. So on my 1 minute ready, I'm really focused on this target. The rest is pretty simple after that, right? Just get your hits, get that very efficient transition, and get out of there. That's the only thing going through my mind on this first stage. One thing to note, I liked how it felt a little bit closer, but Mason uses that back corner. It gives him 2 points. It gives him a little bit more stable position on that lean. I think he's a little bit taller. It opened up a little bit for him back there, whereas I think I had to get a little bit closer. But I do make a mental note when I do that, because if I don't load accurate and I have to adjust going to that harder leaning target, you do risk the chance of that toe touching outside the fall line. So you just got to kind of make a note of that beforehand. But I do like how Mason used the back corner there. So Mason uses that scoop draw. You know, I don't think he hit it perfectly there, because both our draws kind of balanced out there, but normally when he hits it, it's pretty blazing fast. Both leading these transitions with our eyes. Now Mason and I both drop step out of here. The one difference that I need to work on is I didn't get to this magazine fast enough. All right, and you see Mason's already lifting his out, and we pretty much hit that drop foot identical. He was a little bit faster actually than me. I think I'm lifting up my leg a little bit too much. That could just be the lean. I had more of a lean than Mason did. Not a big deal there, but if you notice, Mason is able to turn his hips and his head a lot quicker. We both step with that lead foot, but in doing so, he's able to get out of this position a lot quicker than I did. As you can see there, he's already on his second foot, and mine's just coming over. My hips are still looking down range, so I need to hit my load a little bit quicker. Not a big deal, I can work on that. I actually picked up the loss in that efficiency there with some foot speed here in the middle. You see Mason's head's up. As soon as I get that load, my head gets up, and that's when I kind of turn on the quickness with the feet there. Now, one thing to note, I see a lot of shooters will stare a long time at their entry point. All right, but Mason and I are both going to execute a soft entry here. We're going to try and engage a target while coming into our position. So our head's up, but at one point we're both going to cross check and calculate how much distance we have, because we're going to start bleeding the speed so we can come into that position very fast. But we're not going to stare at that plant area. We're going to want to then get our head back up. Usually at that point the gun comes up, and we're going to start working kind of like a stage sequence to get into that position. So you see gun up, And you can already see Mason's got his weight coming back. My angle's a little bit different, but you can see my weight's coming back. We're coming in on the heel of the foot, all right, to bleed a little bit more momentum. And I broke my first shot right there. Mason broke his. I broke my second. And I'm transitioning. Mason broke his second and he's transitioning. So almost identical. The one note is I want you guys to watch this foot. As I'm engaging these downrange targets, you can see it shuffles, it moves, right? It does two things. One, that tells me I didn't get into a good shooting position. I didn't stay probably low and keep my legs engaged, my muscles and my legs engaged to have good balance. But two, then it shifts my weight in this position to the heel of my foot, and that's not very good for a good efficient exit. And I think I struggle with points. I think the second shot on the first target down range was my delta. I had one delta for the stage, and that cost me a lot on when we calculate hit factors on Mason, who didn't have any deltas. Another note, I don't know why, I think when I had the weight shift, as you can see, I have weight on my heel. It should be on the ball of my feet. But Mason was able to drive his leg out. You kind of see it right there. And then I kind of hop, right? That's just not efficient. So I need to correct that. Again, this is a very difficult entry because what we're doing is we're coming in on a soft entry to a hard lean. That's probably as hard as it gets, especially for the first stage. In your first major of the year with very minimal practice, but this is something that I'll work out. I'm not really worried about it. Don't know why I did that hop there, but you can kind of see right now Mason's right about here. All right, so he's a good 2 steps in front of me just based on the inefficiency of that movement, and I think he engaged this lower target with a little bit more aggressive splits. So together, I think that was about 1/4 second out of the 1/2 second that he beat me on this stage. So coming around this corner pretty aggressively. Mason and I both had a goal here to hit the steal coming into entry. Pick up the second one, maybe just as we're settling. But Mason went to the swinger to the left. I went to the double stack to the right. The reason I did that is I felt like Mason was going to be waiting on the steal. So didn't work out here because we both missed the first steal. I had to make it up after the second steal, so we had to transition back. The other thing is I didn't feel like it was clean if going steal left to right, then go right to left to the swinger, then left to right to the double stack, then right to left to the corner. I just felt like that was a lot of transitioning, a lot of vision. It wasn't very simplistic, and I, like Mason usually says, I like to try to make the stage a little bit more simple. So I actually thought I was going to pick up some speed on him if I got lucky with the swinger, if I didn't wait on the steal. All right, and that was the risk I wanted to take here to try to edge out Mason. So I went steal, steal, double stack, back to swinger. I actually felt like the timing of the swinger worked out, even though I missed the steal. I just didn't have the confidence to break the second shot, and that cost me the additional 1/4 second. So you see I'm on the double stack. Mason just transitioned double stack, so he was a little bit quicker there. So right here I get the first shot off on the swinger, and I had time then for the second. Well, there's the first. I still felt like I had time for the second, and I could have been probably a little bit more aggressive on that first shot. But having to wait for it to come out, you can see Mason's already transitioning, breaking that first shot, and he's breaking his second. So that was the other 1/4 second right there. You know, it was a tough target off on the left side of the stage. So, you know, I was probably 0.21, 0.25. So that was the other 1/4 second there. So right there, a little inefficiency with the exit, a little hesitation with the swinger. And the stage plan didn't really work out for me because we both missed the steal, and that was the 1/2 second. And then also the imbalance issue with the delta, and that's how Mason can get a little bit of points on you. I think he got like 10 points on me on this stage. So got to clean those things up. if you guys are looking for some movement skills, check out Mason. He's been, like I said, a big mentor of mine. It's pretty cool to see over the 2 or 3 years I've been shooting with Mason, and he's been working with me, how close my movement has really got to him. I mean, just to be a half a second. I know it's beginning of the year, and the more he practices, my goal is just not to let that gap increase, just to kind of progress with him. But it's all about your commitment, how much you're willing to train, because Mason will give you the skills, and then you got to refine them. So it's nothing I don't know. It's nothing that I can't self-correct or identify these days. It's just how much time am I willing to dedicate and practice to fine-tuning it and being as consistent as Mason. And that's it. So if you guys got value in this and want to see some more videos like this, I do offer online coaching. I can point these things out, but to work on the skills, you got to kind of seek my training. I recommend myself and Mason. We have very similar styles, obviously, because he's my mentor, but there are some styles I pick up from some other shooters just based on height and some things that I'm trying to do. And, you know, if you guys want to get better and shed off some time, Mason's probably doing it the best in the business right now. So check him out. I'll leave a link to his website below. I'll leave a link to my website if you're in the local area and you want to get training. Right now I'm not traveling, maybe in the future, but I'm definitely willing to help you guys out online if you just want me to point out some of these inefficiencies and things that you should seek out, what kind of training you should seek out. Definitely can help you there with some of the tools that I displayed today. So thanks, guys. Hope you guys get some ammo. Hope you guys get some training. I hope you guys reach your goals this year. Just stay committed, keep a positive attitude, and you guys will progress. Take care.